Welcome to Vape News Radio, the voice of vaping. In each show, we share the latest about regulations and things you need to know, plus upcoming conferences and fests, along with interviews with the movers and shakers in this fabulous vape space. Are you looking to get into this ever-expanding marketplace? Do you want to master this industry? Listen up as Norm Bauer, the vape mentor, shares it all. And here's your host, Norm Bauer.
Hello and welcome to Vape Radio, the voice of vaping, and this is show number 73. I'm Norm Bauer with Vape Mentors, and today I want to introduce you to Vape Genie Distribution. They've been around since 2013 and pride themselves on having access to all the cutting edge and new products. We Get Things First is a claim that holds true due to their great rapport with all the big brand manufacturers. Make your shop the first on the block to offer the best hardware, liquids, and other magical devices. They also offer competitive prices, some of the best customer service around, and a generous return policy. They carry an exhaustive list of e-liquids and keep up with all the market trends to deliver the best liquids in the industry. They have no minimums and offer same-day shipping. Contact one of their experienced sales reps today or visit their site at vapegenie.com and register for a wholesale account. Get a quick approval and check out the inventory that day. If you mention coupon code Vape Radio, you will get a 15% off your first order up to $100. That's vapegenie.com, where your distribution dreams come true. We also are sponsored today by Your E-Liquids. Are you a retail shop without your own house line? Do you already have your own liquids but lack consistency or confidence that they are offering you a product that you can stand behind? Your E-Liquids offer you a turnkey 8-week program to develop your own line and includes help with marketing, branding, and expansion into a wholesale channel if you wish. For information, contact me here at Vape Radio. That's Norm at vapementors.com. I also wanted to let you know that we are offering free webinar classes on how to open your own vape shop. We cover what you need to know about regulations, locations, size of your shop, and inventory. We're doing them every few weeks, and if you are not on our mailing list, you can visit vapementors.com to sign up. One of our missions here at Vape Radio is to bring you access to some of the top thought leaders in the vape space, as well as keep you apprised of events you need to know about. Today, we're killing two birds with one stone, to coin a cliché. Coming up in Las Vegas on March 16th through 18th is an event called TPE, which stands for Tobacco Plus Expo. This show was previously called TPC and is one of the two events that I believe are the most professional in the industry. As far as events go, there are many fests, which are really just excuses to party. There are also quite a few conferences, which are a bit less noisy and smoky, but more professionally run. But there are only two that I call top-tier trade shows, and this event is one of them. This show formerly was all about the world of tobacco, but over the last several years, vaping has become almost half the audience and the exhibitors. The good news is that all persons in the vape space are invited to attend. It is free. But the bad is that it is 100% closed to consumers. Sorry about that. In just a few minutes, I'll be playing back an interview with Jennifer Gelfand, one of the reps at TPE, and we'll be sharing exactly who the show is designed to attract. It will be in Las Vegas at the Convention Center, and we'll have contact information in our show notes. We also want to share with you another event, and this one is coming up quickly as well. Are you confused about CBD? Do you have an interest in offering the products but not sure about any legal issues? Next week on March 14th, Azim Chideri and Christopher Von Gundy with Keller and Heckman Law Firm will be offering a free webinar called Facts Uncovered and Myths Busted, Vaping Regulation and CBD. The class will be held from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock East Coast time, online, and the registration information is in our show notes. You may be familiar with Azim since we have interviewed him several times, plus he hosted a 2-part FDA update series last fall, and he is also one of our VapeU instructors. I personally have been enamored with CBD for almost 2 years and have discussed it on Vape Radio several times. Now, the CBD world is going through changes, just like the vape space. Do the FDA deeming regs cover CBD? Since medical marijuana is legal in over half the country, does that put CBD in a lesser or a greater spotlight? You can judge for yourself, so we hope you can join the webinar on Monday, March 14th. Let's go ahead and kick it off and welcome these two interviews. Well, for those of you who listen to Vape Radio, you know that I am a fan of events, and I go to a lot of events, and I usually classify them under one of three categories. They're either fests, which is a party looking for a place to happen, or they are trade shows. And coming up in March is one of the better trade shows in Las Vegas called TPE, which used to stand for TPC, and we're going to go into that in just a moment. And I have on the phone Jennifer Gelfand, who is a representative of TPE. So, Jen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Norm, for having me.
All right, so tell everyone what TPE actually stands for and who is the primary audience that you're trying to cater to.
Well, Tobacco Plus Expo, so that's what TPE stands for. And we are a trade show. We're really a business show. So we do not welcome consumers, although we love consumers. Our show is for retailers and wholesalers and distributors and folks of that nature. And it is the show, the buying event for doing tobacco and vapor business in one fell swoop.
That's excellent. So you guys have a history, a legacy, so to speak, of being one of the major players in the industry. And 2 years ago when I went to the very first event, I was absolutely blown away at the professionalism of the industry. So that is something that you guys are known for. So can maybe talk about what maybe separates you from a lot of what you would consider other vaping trade shows?
Well, in terms of, there are a lot of vapor shows out there that are for both the consumers and the business side. So one of the things that really distinguishes us is the fact that we are a business to business show purely. And then in terms of the trade shows that are out there, we just have a lot of breadth. And as you said, we've been around a long time. So I like to think that we really have our act together now because we've been doing it for so long that we know how to organize a show floor and know how to kind of make everybody happy. And we get great feedback. And I don't like to brag, but I like to think that everybody who comes to our show leaves really glad that they were there and really ready to come back the following year.
Yes, and I would concur with that, Jen. I've been, like I said, I've been the last 2 years and have walked away with some great relationships and great information. So up until a couple of years ago, vaping was not even on your agenda. Maybe can you discuss about how vaping has kind of intruded into the tobacco space as far as the trade show itself goes, and about what percentage of exhibitors that are going to be there this year do you think are in the vaping industry compared to what was there maybe last year or the year before?
Oh, wow. It's changing all the time, and I say it's very significant, but I don't have the exact percentage. But actually, vaping has been a part of the show for quite some time. As you know, the show has changed names a few times, but very early on, one of our first e-cigarette actually won an award at our show.
Wow.
You probably know better than I do who made that. It was a company out of China, and Ruyan won an award at our show the year that they brought the e-cigarette to America. So we've had a long affiliation actually with vapor, but as you mentioned, it's only been in the last, I would say, 3 years that it's become a really more and more significant part of the show. And I think we'll head to a time when it will be the majority, but we're not there yet.
So can you tell us when the show is and where it's going to be?
Sure. Well, it's in Vegas because we love Vegas as a trade show venue. And it opens on March 16th at the Las Vegas Convention Center.
And as Jennifer said, this is not open to consumers. So for those of you who are consumers, sorry guys, you're not invited. But tell everyone who is invited and maybe why they should consider attending this show when there's so many other choices to think about.
Sure. Well, anyone who is in the vapor product business will definitely want to exhibit at the show. But in terms of attendees, we are a fabulous place for smoke shops, convenience stores, vape shops, wholesalers, distributors to actually see pretty much everything out there in the industry in terms of products.
Excellent. And should someone want more information, what's the best website to go to and what is the cutoff for registration?
Oh, Norm, I forgot to mention the show specials because we always, I should just give that a plug because that is a great way to actually pay for your show. We have hundreds of exhibitors who offer exclusive show specials, and you can really pay for your whole trip just with those alone. To find out more, to answer your question, our website is tobaccoplusexpo.com.
Okay, that's excellent. Well, listen, Jen, thank you so much for popping in for a few minutes and sharing a little bit about the TPE Expo. This is one of the ones that I always put on my radar at the very beginning of the list, and so I look forward to reconnecting with you and your team out there.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, don't go away. We're going to be back in just a moment. Welcome back to Vape Radio. This is Norm Bauer, the voice of vaping, and I've got two gentlemen on the phone today who are going to be doing a workshop about CBD. I actually love the whole CBD controversy and conversation. I've been looking at it for about a year and a half, but there's a lot of you out there who might not be familiar with it. So I have on the phone Azim Chideri and Christopher Van Gundy, and they're with Keller and Heckman out of Washington, D.C. So, gentlemen, welcome to Vape Radio.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so why don't you tell everyone a little bit about what CBD is for those who maybe are not familiar with it or maybe who maybe has some misunderstandings about what CBD is?
Thank you, Norm. Chris Van Gundy here. So that's an interesting question because there are two answers. The traditional industry answer is simply it's a component, what many of us refer to as marijuana, which is really under federal law, cannabis sativa L, that species of marijuana. It can be delivered rather handily in non-psychoactive form, and as you know well, Norm, and many of the listeners, it offers a lot of promise. There is an experimental new drug approved by FDA to deliver CBD to children suffering from epilepsy, again, as many may know. However, the other part of the answer is this. CBD under the old federal laws, going back to the Controlled Substances Act of 1970 and really even before then, it's defined as marijuana. Even though it's a component of marijuana, even though it's non-psychoactive by itself, if it comes from certain parts of the plant, it is considered marijuana, and that's it, and it's a controlled substance, and it has attached to it supposedly all sorts of dire criminal penalties. And those risks exist, they're there, but it depends on how it's made, for example, and that would be that's what we're going to roll up to in our upcoming webinar.
All right, so I was taken back by the fact that you're getting into this arena and actually very pleasantly surprised because Keller and Heckman has been a leader in the electronic cigarette and vaping world, especially in regard to fighting some of the insane laws that are out there and are being proposed out there, including the one that's pending right now in the state of Indiana. So when it comes to anything relating to, I'll call it the marijuana question, this is always a very questionable area. So what was it that prompted Keller and Heckman to start looking into a controversial subject like CBD? Because this seems to be outside of your normal range of business.
Hey, Norm, this is Azim, and I can answer that question. Well, as you know, as you just mentioned, we have the leading e-vaping practice, as it relates to the FDA regulation of vapor products. And what really prompted us to get into the CBD issue was the fact that we have, so many of our own clients that have just started asking us these questions. Perhaps they're looking at CBD as an ingredient in their e-liquid, maybe to replace nicotine, which is going to come under FDA's, tobacco authority at some point, or, just for other reasons to add as a variety to their, product portfolio, a CBD containing e-liquid. And so that really prompted us to be able to, we want to be able to help our clients figure out what the legal implications are of having that, of marketing such a product. And so it sort of was just a natural extension of what we do for, on behalf of our e-vapor companies. And so, we started getting more and more into it. And, Chris took the lead in sort of researching some of these issues and has really become an expert on, both the federal DEA regulation and how FDA might treat these products. And so, that's how we sort of fell into it and thought that this webinar would be a good way of informing the industry, busting some myths, as we say in the webinar description, to help, make sure people are going down the right path.
Okay, so the webinar you speak to, great lead-in, is going to be on Monday, March 14th from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock East Coast time. This is going to be a free class. Is that right, gentlemen?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so who is it that you think is your audience here? Who is it that you think should attend this free webinar?
Well, anyone who is in the e-cigarette or e-vapor, e-liquid industries, I think would be interested. Anyone who is looking to purchase these products for sure, to learn more. Vape shop owners, I think, that are looking to potentially stock some of their shelves with CBD containing liquids, there are implications there for them as well. So really anyone in the industry, the vaping industry.
I was introduced to CBD about a year and a half ago when I went to my first ECC event in September of 2014. And I had heard these initials, this acronym before, but I really didn't know much about it. So I did an interview with one of the vendors that was there. And since then, I've seen CBD proliferate to the point of where I have been looking for products for myself, because there's a lot of baby boomers like me who have a hard time sleeping, and CBD is known for having very good qualities as far as helping people sleep. So are you seeing that even people who are in the regular quote unquote vaping world, are some of them actually adding CBD components to their line, or are they actually developing their own separate line of CBD products?
I think it's been a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think there are companies that have been marketing e-liquids for some time that are just starting to look at the CBD issue. There are companies that have been, who are coming at it the other way, who have already been in the CBD, market industry, and they're looking to get into vaping as another mechanism for delivering CBD. And so we're really getting a whole range of potential parties that are interested.
Yeah, I would add, Azim and Norm, that what we hope to cover in the webinar, circle around to the question and answer, is the whole area of law, federal, state, is very murky, and CBD may be in the middle of that murkiness, really.
Yes, it is.
And it's even doubly confusing since it's not, again, it can be delivered without virtually any THC, and yet, depending on how it's produced, it could fall within a controlled one substance, and that carries certain risks. So we hope to dive into that and dispel some myths. Calling it hemp, for example, is a handy term in the industry that is useful, but not really useful under the law. If it's a cannabis sativa plant, it's cannabis sativa, and if it's derived from that, it may be controlled, a Schedule I controlled substance. And that carries risk, and we can go in that. It also carries some advantages, I think, for companies who can understand this more deeply and maybe come up with some strategies to get their product out there in a way that's never going to be risk-free until this whole beshmear is kind of handled in one way or the other on a more comprehensive level and the laws are harmonized.
But I was going to say, I find it very fascinating that the camps between all these three, I'll call them armies, are starting to blur. Once upon a time, you had the marijuana camp, which was inherently illegal. And of course, medical marijuana changed that, and now it's legal in more than half the country, and recreational marijuana is becoming more prolific. And so we're going towards probably a nationalized legalization of marijuana. And then on the other camp, you have the vaping world. And then as you speak, Chris, is that the CBD world was kind of like in the nether zone, but now there's a lot of crossover to the point of where vaping is not always readily accepted or approved by the public, and in some public eyes, marijuana is actually more acceptable than the vaping world, and CBD is one of those products that kind of falls in the middle. So I, for one, am planning on attending your workshop, and again, it's Monday, March 14th, 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock Eastern Time. And should someone want more information, what's the best way to get a hold of you, gentlemen? Because, of course, I get your newsletter, I get your list, and so I've already registered. But should someone want more information or wish to attend, what's the best way to sign on to this?
Well, you can certainly email us. My email is ecigattorney@khlaw.com. That's ecigattorney@khlaw.com. I'll get that email, and I can, forward along the registration information.
Excellent. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and post in the show notes the direct link to this. And gentlemen, I thank you so much for joining us here on Vape Radio, and we wish you great success as you explore this very controversial, very sensitive area of CBD on Monday, March 14th from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Thank you, Norm.
We hope you enjoyed these two brief but insightful invitations to events that I believe will help you quite a bit. As I said, this event called TPE is one of my annual faves since it is so professionally run and so well attended. If you'd like to rub shoulders with some of the major players in the industry, then take the time to head out to Vegas. As to the webinar on CBD, well, this is a personal fascination, as I mentioned. The benefits of CBD have been proven clinically and anecdotally, so if you have concerns and want to be sure you're not exposed to undue risk, please join the free webinar on March 14th. And that wraps up Vape Radio show number 73, and thanks again for listening. Do you have a topic you'd like to hear, or do you have something to share? Someone you'd like to speak with? Send us a note to norm@vapementors.com. And before we leave, I want to offer you all a great opportunity. Would you like to get your product, service, or message in front of our targeted vaping audience? Vape Radio is the #1 vape radio show in the world with more than 1.2 million downloads and over 120,000 unique views a month. We were one of the top 10 business podcasts of 2015 on Podbean and beat out more than 130,000 other shows. For just $750, you get your company integrated within 3 radio shows, and we're looking for 2 more advertisers to fill our spots. How about you? Contact norm@vapementors.com, and that wraps up show number 73. So until next time, vape on.